Episode 75 of the Beardcaster. My name is Scott Sikora, and I am the Beardcaster. Welcome to a podcast all about beards, mustaches, and the bearded culture with all the fun stuff that goes along with it. It's about the facial hair lifestyle we live, from our daily lives in the world around us, and how we deal with life. So please join me, Scott Sikora, the Beardcaster, as I share the stories about these people and hear how they are using their facial hair to do great and fun things. TheBeardcaster.com is where you can go on the interwebs to find out more information about myself and the show. You can subscribe to the podcast there. There's all sorts of ways you can subscribe, but there's a couple big buttons you just hit and it'll help you do it. You can also stream the show, so you don't have to actually download it. You can just pick an episode in my player, click play, and listen right then and there. You can also get hooked up to all my social media, Facebook, Instagram, and that other one is Twitter. Yes. And you can also email me, scott@thebeardcaster.com, if you have any questions, comments, concerns, or you want me to give a happy birthday shout out to your Aunt Mabel. Oh, yeah, that's a lot. I feel like I just exploded all these things out of my mouth. But thank you for listening to this podcast about beards and mustaches. I'm so very thankful to all the listeners I have, and I want to thank everyone for checking out the last episode with Kenny. Really great episode. Like I said, I wrote a little blog about the my conversation with him and just the kind of, I don't know what the word I'm looking for, how my eyes were kind of open to the whole scene and everything, and it was just a really interesting experience. I'll just put it that way, not in a bad way or anything. It was just an eye-opening experience on the whole beard scene, and it was just really interesting. So if you want to hear a little bit more about that or read a little bit more about it, you can go check my blog out, which you can get through my website, or you can just check out the last episode, which was episode 74. Episode 75, which is this one, is with Paul Hendrix and his wife Diane. Now, if you don't know who Paul is, you obviously live under a rock. But if you've ever been to Teja, which is how us Ohioans refer to Texas, if you've in fact been to Austin, Teja, there is a really great club down there called the Austin Facial Hair Club, and Paul's part of that and his wife. And if you've ever been to an event down there, most likely you've seen Paul. He's emceed the event. Really funny guy, super handsome, just really good looking, just an amazing individual. And he's just one of those outstanding guys in the community that you cannot not love. He's just awesome. But anyways, so I sat down with, not literally, but I sat down and talked with Paul and Diane about their venture that they're doing right now called Bully Ranch. And you can find out more information by going to bullyranch.org. And we kind of talked about the starting of the dog beard and mustache contest that's been going on in Austin for a few years, and how Diane and him got involved with that, and then how they moved around the country and they had a couple pitbulls, and just learned a lot about the breeds, loved them, and got involved in rescue and all that stuff, and how it's kind of evolved into what it is now. And we talked a lot about training. We talked a lot about just all these different aspects to owning the dogs, to training the dogs, and then what they're planning on doing with Bully Ranch. So I really hope you guys enjoy this episode. It was a big learning experience for me as being a dog owner. And if you have any more questions or want any more information about Bully Ranch, like I said, bullyranch.org, you can find out everything that you might want to. So, but let's just get right into this episode, and I'll catch you on the backside, and I hope you enjoy, and action. Okay, so I am with Paul and Diane from the Austin Facial Hair Club. Why don't you guys introduce yourselves and tell us where you're from? You like that?
My name is Paul Hendrix. This is my honor to be my second time being on the Podcaster. with my homeboy Scott. So I've been at Austin Facial Hair Club. Sorry, that's Vito. For about 4 years. Been in Austin 5 years. I'm also from Ohio, from the Cleveland area. We came here from Hawaii, driving across country, visiting friends. Actually headed towards back to Washington, D.C. area where we lived previously. And we really liked Austin. I'd never been here before, but loved it just because it's freaking Austin. And we just decided upon returning to Ohio to stay and visit our family and friends before heading to D.C., we changed our mind and came to Austin, which we've now been here for 5 years. And one of the reasons was because at that time we were also very interested in opening up a pit bull rescue, an animal sanctuary. And at that time, being around Central Texas, land was a lot less expensive than the D.C. Metropolitan area.
Oh, yeah, I could imagine. So I know that's a prime place for a lot of politicians to live, but you're not very political, so it wouldn't probably have worked out good for you guys there.
Oh, we're pretty political. That's why we used to live there.
Oh.
I used to work in a political think tank.
Oh, did you try to run for president ever?
No, I've always liked politics. It's ironic you said that. There was a documentary called The War Room on Bill Clinton's first campaign.
Mm-hmm.
And it really featured George Stephanopoulos and James Carville, his advisors and speechwriters. And when I saw that documentary is when I knew I could do that. I could never run for office because I don't have a closet full of skeletons. I actually rent a storage unit in Maple Heights, Ohio, outside of Cleveland, where I keep all of my skeletons. But I knew I could be definitely run from the background. So when I went back to college, that's what I went to school for: political communication and propaganda and persuasion. And ideally, I wanted to become a speechwriter and strategist.
Oh, my Lord. Well, since I live so close to Maple Heights, if you ever need me to run over there real quick and feed the skeletons, just let me know.
I will let you know.
All right. And Diane, tell us a little bit about you. Who are you? This is my first time talking to you, so.
Oh, well, hello.
Hi. Hi, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you as well. Well, Paul summed up pretty much how we ended up in Austin story, and I currently live here in Austin with Paul.
No way.
And most of the time, sometimes I have to.
Well, how did you meet Paul? Let's hear that story.
Oh, yeah, let's hear that story, Diane.
Well, Paul has a different version. However,
like Taylor and Brian.
We met in Cleveland. We met at a company that we both worked for. And I was in a superior position than Paul. And he claims that
it was my yearly review.
Right.
I just was
that
trying
he was
to get
trying
my
to get a raise or something like that. And
she took advantage of me, Scott. She won't admit it.
She was getting more than one type of raise out of you, I guess.
That's where it is.
Totally untrue.
That's where it is.
So anyway, we met there and we're friends for a few years. And then after the friendship, we started to date. And a very long story later, we got married and live here.
Anniversary coming up.
Yeah, soon.
Have you guys kissed yet?
A little bit.
You know, side hugs and all that.
Bro hugs. All right, so the two of you guys met, and then you guys end up in Hawaii, of all places. How does that happen?
Well, let's just say that Paul was not winning any of the best boyfriend awards when we lived in D.C., and so Diane, in a smooth move of not only breaking up with me, she broke up with me and then moved as far away as possible, and while still remaining in the United States, which was Hawaii. And out there, her company wanted her to open up an office out there, which she did, but apparently she didn't want me to go with her. So several months later, I went out there and we I don't know, we rehashed our relationship, rekindled, reconciled. Yeah.
Did you take her flowers?
Oh, I took her flower. Oh, I'm sorry. Did I take her flowers?
Yes, yes.
Yes, I did, actually. I showed up at her office, knocked on the door, and somebody answered it, went back and said, "There's a big, bald, tattooed guy with flowers standing out there. Is that Paul from D.C.?" And she was like, "Yep."
Oh, That's such a cute story.
It is. Well, as you know, I'm very charming and handsome on top of it, so it was hard for her to say no.
Well, no, how can any woman say no to you? I mean, I can't even say no to you, and I'm a man.
It's true. It's a true story. I don't know. I mean, she played like she could. Like she took her 9 years to say she would marry me, but I think she was just playing hard to get.
Is this story correct, Diane? Is he telling the truth here?
That version of the story is more correct than the other version. Yeah.
All right. Good, because as we were talking a little bit earlier, we were having discrepancies in stories, and we want to make sure that we're getting everyone the facts and not the facts from Taylor Weldon.
Right. Yes, that's true. Well, I'm a writer and I'm a storyteller, where Diane's much more succinct. Diane's actually a American Sign Language interpreter, so she does most of her communicating using her body and arms, and just she's the best hand talker on this part of Texas, Central Texas.
That's very cool. Yeah, I'd say do some sign for me right now, but we're not looking at each other, so it doesn't really work.
Yeah.
He's giving you the bird.
Oh,
That's pretty tough.
That does not translate to podcasting, unfortunately. Maybe technology will catch up.
Hopefully. We were speaking about that earlier. We were talking with Chris Odom.
Oh, yes.
He came to our meeting today, and we were talking about you. We were talking about doing the podcast, and he said you guys had something working on in the future or something.
Yeah, and unfortunately, it's not me moving to Texas, but
right. But combining your podcast with some video or video footage. Yeah, it sounded pretty cool.
Yeah, we're gonna. I mean, I figured we'd try to combine forces to try to cover more ground. And I mean, for myself, I do an audio podcast, and like I said, there's no visual side to it. But what we do as beard guys is a very visual thing, and I like the way he shoots his videos, and I like his editing style, and I like all that stuff. And we kind of talked where I could bring him on doing some more audio stuff on his end, and then we can get some more visual stuff on my end. So I just think that it would be a good partnership. So, but yeah. It was funny because he texted me today and said that he was talking to you guys, and
right on.
So it's really cool. And I mean, you guys have such a great club and so many great guys and gals that are in the club. And so how did you guys get involved in the club?
Well, we first moved here. It's been 5 years now. And it's because of a podcast, actually. We moved here from Hawaii, and my friend John Toll, who's a touring comedian, now based out of Denver, but was in Austin at the time, lived here. And me and him had known each other since playing in punk and hardcore bands in Cleveland in the early and mid-'90s. And so we hooked up here. As soon as we moved here, I started doing a podcast with him called Disrupt the Illusion. And he was dating and living with Dina, Death Wish Dina, who was the secretary for Austin Facial Hair Club. So first thing we'd gone to was what we're about to do next week. As a matter of fact, it's a party that we'll do where people can come and shave their beards off. We'll have barbers there for the 6-month sprint category, which will be at the next Come and Shave It in this February. So we went to that, and I shaved off my beard and competed in the 6-month sprint. And at that event, I met Brian and Alex and some other folks from the club. And then it was also at that event, they said, bring some items, and they were going to do a time capsule. So I brought a copy of my book and a copy of John Toll's CD. We were put in the time capsule. And a few months later, I was sitting in a bar, our friend's bar, the Brixton, and I was sitting next to, I believe it was Brian, Alex, and Jessica. And Tim Lupa, the owner, introduced us. And Brian looked at me and said, "Hey, I've been reading your book." And I was like, "Really?" Like, I didn't even know if that's who I'd met, because all the bearded folks look pretty similar, although Brian's beard stands out quite a bit. But he said, "Yeah, everything that's going in the time capsule, I just took home." So that's kind of how we first started talking at that bar. And then the following year, we went to the same party for the 6-month sprint. And they were doing Dunk Tank. And we were sitting there talking to Brian, and we'd seen Brian out and become more friendly with him and Alex. And he asked me if I wanted to do the Dunk Tank. And now I didn't really have a whole lot of friends or know a lot of people in Austin. but it was to raise money for whatever charity they were doing. And I finally agreed to do it. And not knowing anyone, I got up there and just started talking shit to everybody that was there. And next thing you know, there was a very long line of people waiting to dump me. And from that, after it was done, he was like, all right, you did a really good job. And we were talking, and then he brought up the idea that they had been thinking about doing a dog beard and mustache competition. In fact, that they had decided they were going to do it, and asked if I would be interested in emceeing, just purely based off of my abilities on the dunk tank. So I said, sure. And that's really how we both, and Diane had met them all previously as well, but that's really how we became really good friends with Brian after that. And still didn't join for another year, but we hung out a lot with Brian and his family and met everybody in the club and hung out at a lot of events until the next dog beard mustache competition. He asked me if I wanted to be the quarterback on it. Then I said yes, and then I joined the club, and then Diane joined the club, and that's how we got involved. It was all through the dog beard and mustache competition, though.
Now, at this point, Diane, what's your take on all of this stuff going on? Like the beard club, the beard scene, at this point, I'm sure you guys have seen the TV show and everything and saw how the Austin Facial Hair Club was depicted. What was your take on all of this? Like, how did it make you feel? What was your impressions?
When we first went to the 6-month sprint, I think that was the first event that I had gone to as well. And I was just like, this is so silly. I couldn't get over that there was a beard club. There's a lot of clubs for a lot of things. So, of course, there's a beard club. And I thought, wow, this is really silly.
Especially after 8 years in Hawaii.
Yeah, I mean, it just, like people have a beard or they don't, whatever. And then getting to meet the guys and the women that are involved in the club, I was like, well, it's a silly thing. I still think it's kind of silly. And it's a really cool group of people. And every time I go to an event, I meet people that are just the whole gamut of society. And I still think it's silly, but I really love it. And I just am happy that when we came to Austin and we met the guys and the ladies that we know from the club, I'm really happy that we did, because we've made some really good relationships and have participated in some really great events and have raised money for really cool things and hosted people from all over the world to come where we are. And then that opens up opportunities for us to go visit cool people in other cities and countries. So as much as I joke that it's a silly little club, it's actually really cool.
Now, have you ever done any Whiskerina stuff, or are you just totally have kind of like stood in the back and just supported Paul with this?
I wouldn't say that I supported Paul, because I am merch mafia. We have merch everywhere we go, and I usually am behind the merch booth at every big event that we have. And
Tony's her work husband.
Yeah, Tony's the merch don, and I help run merch tables when we go to big events. So I have not competed. I would like to compete, but not in Austin, because every time we do events in Austin, I really enjoy working the merch booth, because I get to meet so many people and hang out with people while I'm doing what I do. And I think that if I were competing, I would be a lot more involved with my beard. And
so are you saying, did I hear you say that you're going to compete for the first time in Virginia? RVA? Is that what I just heard?
I was not planning on that. However,
I thought
that's what I heard.
That's what I heard
would like to compete at an event that's not in Austin.
So you mean Virginia then?
Yeah, that's the next logical space.
That is the next logical space. Yes.
That's a pretty bold competition to get your feet wet in too.
Yeah. Sure, it sure is. Cool. Might as well jump right in. Kind of everything.
Okay, so now let's talk a little bit about the dog beard and mustache contest. Now, like we were talking about how Taylor kind of fucked the pooch, when not literally, but by telling the original story. But let's hear the real story of how it all came together.
So, excuse me. For everyone that's watched Whisker Wars, back in 2011 when they were at Worlds. Austin Facial Hair Club was there. And they remember they'd broken off and wanted to find out how they could become their own voting member of the World Beard Mustache Association.
Yes.
They had made a pitch during that show that they wanted to have the World's Beard Mustache Competition in Austin in 2015. And so as they were making their pitch, I guess apparently Brian had forgot the pitch that he had actually like the notes of to read from and make sure he got everything. So he just kind of had to wing it. Except the other person that was winging it was or the other person that was pitching in another country, which I don't remember what that country was. Probably shouldn't mention anyway. But I guess they were they were prepared and were doing a terrible job. So Brian felt pretty good about it. And when he was pitching, having it in Austin, he was talking about all the attributes of Austin. You know, the barbecue and the dancing and bands, live music, and what we could provide, the value we could provide here in Austin. He said we also want to have a category where women compete and create beards. And somebody that was at that meeting was having a hard time understanding the whole Whiskerina thing, was having a hard time visualizing it or seeing it, or just didn't understand it. And that person had said, what did they say, Diane?
She said, or no, they said,
what did they say? They're like I just don't get this. And then
next?
What's next?
Dogs with beards.
Dogs with beards. And Brian said he was, jotting down notes, and he heard that, and he was like, yes, a dog beard mustache competition. And Taylor looked down. He showed Taylor, and Taylor saw it. And they were both like, yes, we got to do that. And that was really how it started. But it was just by somebody who had just kind of had mentioned that out of the blue. And that's oftentimes how really good ideas come to us, though.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. It's like it was almost like a mocking comment, but yet,
right.
The true visionary that Brian is, can...
He is totally a visionary. And it was great. And so, like, the first time we did it was, before I was in the club. So, like, a week before the event, I was emceeing it, and me and Brian went to meet for lunch. And I was like, what's this look like? And we were sitting down at lunch, and he just looked at me and said, I don't know, I'm pretty curious about that myself. Because they'd never done it. So we all just put it together. And I'd met Taylor before, but he was one of the judges. DJ Morgan, who's a local DJ here, and Annie McReynolds. And as I was going through emceeing it, so I didn't really know anyone there. And Diane was there. And it was raining, and it was cold. And I just kept looking back at Taylor like, is this good? He was like, yeah, it's pretty good. You're funny. And then I met a bunch of the Facial Hair Club. They were all standing down like by the merch area at the Mohawk with their arms crossed. And to me, they all looked like a bunch of bikers, pretty intimidating and scary. Now I know they're all a bunch of cuddly. Well, some of them are still pretty scary. But I walked down during the intermission, and they were like, oh, man, you're really funny. But their faces were just like stone. They looked terrifying. And I was like, why don't you guys fucking laugh? Let me know it's like, shit, you guys over here look like you're waiting for me to go back in the alley so you can jump me. But now we love Jeff Ray and Patrick, and they're all our friends.
I'll tell you what, I mean, for the few times that I've like watched you MC events, like you are probably in my personal opinion, and I'm going to stroke your ego here for a second, but you're probably one of the best MCs at any beard event I've ever been to.
Well, I really appreciate that. I'm gonna have to send this link to my mom so she could hear it. So
you did that last time, and she still hasn't emailed me back yet.
Damn it! Now I'm using the same jokes in 2 podcasts.
I know.
Wow.
A year apart. Can you believe that?
Wow.
Some time to get some new material.
It totally is. Wow.
But
I appreciate the sentiment. I really enjoy doing it. It's great. And I started doing it here. It's funny. Like I had a television show in Hawaii, and I've had podcasts.
Magnum PI.
Actually, when they did the whatever version of Hawaii 5.0, I was in the first episode, and so was my book.
Oh.
But it's only like it's like a 1/10 of a second. It's really a challenge to see. But I filmed it several times throughout the day. But yeah, I just never, when we were sitting here, especially it was right before Worlds, like the Wednesday before that weekend, and there was all the guys from Germany had come in, and they were at the Mohawk, and we had a meeting at the Long Center where we held Worlds, and then me and Brian and Taylor and a bunch of us all went to the Mohawk to meet the Germans and have some beers, and I was just kind of sitting there thinking, along this journey of life, me and Diane are pretty big adventurers and went from Cleveland to New York to DC to Hawaii to Austin on a whim. And have had this, connect the dots journey of our careers and everything. And I was like, I'm about to MC the world's beard and mustache competition. Like that, how did I get here? Like, this is crazy. I mean, it fits perfectly. It was just a weird moment sitting at the Mohawk with all these Germans. They were already had their mustaches styled, and I don't know. It's pretty crazy. It's just, life can be crazy when you make it an adventure and you get to meet the weird folks and do the craziest things. And I know some people think it's silly and it's funny, and we all know. I mean, it is beard competition. It's a fun event, whether it's really about the community that we build. And I also know those folks that I've heard talk shit about it or say things about it. They don't have friends in Germany or England or France. You know what I mean? Like, we got people coming up from going all over the world from our country, and people from, at our Worlds, as you saw, you were there, people from every continent besides Antarctica. That's pretty crazy, getting together over a beard competition and raising a lot of money. And there's not a whole lot of people that can say that they get to do that, or they're part of a community that's literally worldwide.
Yeah. No, and so that's awesome. Yeah, no, that is really awesome. And I mean, that's why I love it so much. And getting involved into it myself, I didn't realize the charitable side of the whole thing. Like, that's the part that really stunned me off the bat, was like, wow, like everyone's doing this. Every event is for a different charity, for a different event, or a different area. And so like when you guys do like the dog beard and mustache contest, now do you guys who do you usually raise money for that event?
We usually raise money for charities, rescues, organizations that work with animals here in Austin. So we worked with Austin Pets Alive one year, Austin Animal Center, Lovable, the Schrody Memorial Fund, which helps people that adopt dogs from shelters get training after they adopt a dog. And this year it will be Bully Ranch.
Oh, Bully. I've never heard of this Bully Ranch. What is that all about?
Well, it's these really, really, more than their love for dogs, is how just attractive humans they are. It's mind blowing. It's weird, really weird. And then they almost matching that bright light is their love for pit bulls and everything. So this is really great folks that wanted to start a pit bull rescue, and had one of the reasons, we're Bully Ranch, obviously.
Yeah, I know. I was trying to play with that, and I
know, but I was trying to build it up too, but then I couldn't tell the rest of the story without saying we. One of the reasons we moved here was because the land was so cheap. But then we were just giving it kind of lip service. I don't know. We were like, and me and Diane have done work on ourselves together, and we lived in Hawaii, and we had gone separately to these conferences in leadership conferences in Northern California. Unfortunately, right where all the fires are happening right now, and this big ranch out there. And part of it is you go, you do a solo. You're out in the mountains camping by yourself. We did it for 48 hours, and you get a vision. Like, what is your vision for your life in the world that you want to see? And in both of our, she had gone to a women's one, I had gone to a men's one, but we both had included that in our vision. So Diane, since she was a kid, always wanted to have an animal sanctuary, and I always wanted to have a pit bull rescue. I hate to say this because my dogs are both laying here right by the phone, part of this conversation, but Diane used to think pit bulls were ugly. And I don't want them to hear that, especially from someone that they think of as in a motherly leadership role. But yeah, she used to think they were ugly, and I wanted to have a pit bull rescue. And when we had written those in our vision, that just became something that we knew we wanted to have and be a part of. And one of the reasons we came here, and then we just weren't really doing anything about it, besides watching the cost of living here raise quite a bit since we've been here. And we had two dogs when we moved here, Titan and Malia. And Titan we had rescued when we lived in DC, and Malia we had rescued when we were in Hawaii. And they were both old. Titan was 15, and we put him down when we had moved here. And then Malia had died shortly after that. She got really sick. So we ended up adopting this other guy like right away. And we named him Doggy Trejo because his face was all scarred up. And he had recently, they had only had him for 2 days, the Austin Animal Center. And he'd obviously come from a fighting ring, was probably being used as a bait dog. It had open wounds still that had blood and other liquids coming from them. And I was actually there taking pictures of dogs for an upcoming dog beard and mustache competition. So I saw him right when I was getting ready to leave in a kennel. And a lot of the dogs are hyphy and they're jumping up and barking and just excited because there's so many people going through. And he was just watching me, wagging his tail, sitting there, all calm. I could see his face, and his face was all scratched up and bloody. And I was like, man, I don't want. I kind of put my hand and blocked him because I didn't want to talk to him or anything. So I didn't. It was like a week after our girl Malia had passed away, and I ended up taking him for a walk. And next day we took him home. We adopted him. We named him Doggy Trejo after Danny Trejo, the actor, and whom he got to meet like a month later. He just ended up being a great dog. Besides, he burnt down our apartment when we first got him. But after that, he was a really, really awesome dog. Like as close to perfect as could be. Besides the arsonist stuff, that was a little heavy. But we took him through training, and it actually got his canine good citizen, became a therapy dog. It was just, like I said, he was as close to perfect as a dog could be. And we just adored him. And everybody adored him, whether they knew he came from a fighting ring or not. He was just so gregarious. And if he was in front of you, like you were petting him, he made you feel like you were the only person in the world, like you were just the most important person. He wanted to give you kisses, and he would just snuggle into you. And it was just an amazing dog. And so he had gotten sick. He was having some health problems. We kept taking him to the vet and getting him tested and trying to figure out what was wrong. It ended up that he had eaten something that was in his intestines lodged, and it was really small. And then they finally saw it as it was getting bigger. And when they went to do surgery on him to take out of his intestines, he passed away during the surgery. And I mean, we were just heartbroken. I mean, he was such an amazing dog, and he was a therapy dog now, going to schools and working with children, and he'd gone to visit veterinary groups, veterans groups, and he was just awesome, and he loved it. He was like that was his purpose in life. No matter what he'd experienced before, being he was a bait dog, his purpose was no doubt to be a therapy dog.
Yeah. Well, that's a really touching story. And I remember when all that happened, and just seeing your posts on Facebook, and I just being all the way here, I felt that just loss for you guys, and I know how much that dog meant to you, and I just I felt so bad for you guys when you lost that dog. And then when we came down for the Come and Shave It this past year, tell that story about what happened there.
Yeah, our boy Johnny Rodriguez from down in Corpus Christi, the Hooligans, big shout out to him down there. He's an amazing artist, and he brought us a painting of Doggy Trejo from a picture he took from Facebook, and we presented it to Diane on stage, and it was awesome. We're actually looking at it right now. It's one of the heart that we were laughing kind of like we think about him all the time and talk about him, and we have Vito now and Barker Posey still. But we have there's pictures of him kind of all around, so it's hard not to think about him. And at the same time, it was in that moment of we're kind of just heartbroken, but there was just something about him. Like out of any dog that could have serious trust issues with humans and other dogs would be a dog that uses a bait dog in a fighting ring. Yeah. And his ability, and it was maybe he knew his time was short, but he just didn't. There was no like trust period getting to know you. Like I said, if you were if you just met him, Scott, he would have treated you like you were the most important person in the universe. And people just felt that and loved and adored him. And it was crazy. They did a whole tribute from Austin Animal Center and everywhere that people just his whole story that they knew when we first adopted him. When he had met Danny Trejo, and people had posted about that here. I don't know. He just kind of had a following, and people really loved his whole story that he became a therapy dog and everything. So, at the same time, that was an impetus for how many other dogs out there, because statistically, like 4% of all dogs that get euthanized from shelters are pit bulls. So I just kept thinking, how many other doggy Trejos are getting put down? Because people are just, recklessly adopting these dogs, or then they find out they can't have them, and there's so many of them out there now. But how many of them are doggy Trejos or Vitos or Barker Posey, who's laying here? Like every day, thousands of those dogs are getting put down, and it's all from misinformation, just irresponsibility. And it was something that we wanted to do. So if we learned anything from doggy Trejo, it's definitely about the impermanence of life, and we should do something that we really want to do that honors that, honors our love for this breed and rescuing them, and kind of honor his legacy. And that was really the catalyst that we got up and just started fucking moving.
All right, quick question here. Now, why pitbull though? I mean, where does your love and interest in that breed come from?
For me, I don't know. I think it's, I knew a lot of pit bulls growing up, and as I got older, I just loved the breed. I felt kind of familiarity with them being, I don't know, big guy, bald, shaved head, tattoos, always just kind of glancing like a judgment, and also knowing that I'm a fairly intelligent person, and I'm really super sweet guy. I know, and that kind of reminded me of the dogs. All the pit bulls I would meet, even I at first would be intimidated by them or a little nervous, and they were all just fucking lick monsters. I mean, every one of them, the crazier they looked with their ears cropped and missing an eye, and they were just lick monsters. They would want to snuggle and lick and play, and I just felt this connection to them. And then, I also grew up and knew. When I grew up in the 70s, Dobermans were really dangerous. And then the 80s, German Shepherds were really dangerous. And then Rottweilers. And then it got back to pit bulls and when they became popular. And then just the overbreeding and like their dogs, man. We used to say in Hawaii when people would be afraid of our dogs, like they don't watch TV. They just they'll kiss you, want pets. And if you have a treat, they'd love that too.
Yeah, I mean, I can 100% agree with you about the whole thing, meeting a pit bull. You're definitely, because of the stories you've heard, you're a little apprehensive. And every pit bull that I've ever met has been exactly how you said. They're just, all they want to do is be close. They want to kiss you. They want to snuggle into you. They just want to be touched. It's out of any other breed of dog, like the pit bull is like the one that is the most like that, in my opinion.
And we can't even do this podcast without. We're literally sitting here in a 4-foot square radius and have both dogs laying right next to the phone, sleeping. They just had to be wherever we were. They have to be there.
Yeah, they are really sweet dogs, and I know.
And at the same time, they can. I mean, they're also very powerful, and I understand the breed and the creation behind them. They're very tenacious, but there's so many other ways. There's so many ways of exercising that. There's no inherent violence any more than I think we have. It's just not. It's something that's taught, and they are very strong dogs. And a lot of people took advantage. And I mean, you can train any dog to be just treating a dog poorly enough, they're going to be awful. And it's unfortunate that these dogs will use that. But then this whole notion that it's some kind of inherent in the breed and who they are is, I mean, those are people that obviously never heard of Little Rascals and Petey and, how many pit bulls have lived in the White House with presidents. It used to be like America's dog.
Yeah. I didn't even know that.
I've written several research papers on them, and we're advocates, so we have to know. We have to be pretty knowledgeable. Well, we've been doing this for a long time. But, ironically, I wrote some papers in college in the late 90s when I was going to Cleveland State because I lived in South Euclid, and my friend Ezek from New York was living. So there was like 2 miles in between us, and he had a pit bull in Little Italy, and I went to adopt one in South Euclid. They were considered a vicious animal. And I had to have like $500,000 worth of insurance, had to have a muzzle on him anytime he was in public. And at University Hospital, Case Western Reserve's hospital, they had, I'd seen an article about therapy dogs they had there. And some of the dogs that were the therapy dogs were pit bulls. And so I was like, how within a 2-mile stretch do they go from being used as a therapy dog in a hospital to I need $500,000 worth of insurance and has to wear a muzzle at all times? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it just didn't make sense. And that's when I started really researching the breed and wrote some papers on them, and then just kept getting more and more involved. And then it's been about 15 years ago. It's been 15 years ago when we started rescuing them as our way of adopting them and finding dogs. I mean, we've had the experience of being able to liberate them out of yards, and it's just something we feel very, very passionately about. And we also understand that a lot of people don't, and it's hard. We have to be very understandable when there's people that still have legitimate fears.
Yeah.
That's why we try to be good stewards, and we train our dogs. I'm a dog trainer now, and Diane is training, and we take our dogs through training. We spend time training like we want them to be good representatives and good advocates, because we want that mindset to change.
No, absolutely. And I was reading some of your guys' on the website, bullyranch.org. You guys do like a little blog thing in there, and I was reading a couple of those earlier today, and one of the things that caught my eye was how, you were talking about, I think Diane wrote this, about training and how she had to go get trained for the dog instead of the dog getting trained for you. I mean, I thought that was a really cool statement. You don't think about that. It's like you're thinking you're taking your dog to a trainer so you can get that dog to do what you want instead of, learning what your dog wants.
Yeah. And it's when you go to training, the idea is you're the human, you're the one supposedly with the rational mind who can think things through a little bit better than a dog can. So the training is more for the human than it is for the dog. Onto you, your commands, your anxiety, your comfort, your knowledge. The dog is responding to you most of the time. And if you, as the human being, or in my case, me, I went through the training to be sure that I could handle the situations that come up with her and be sure that she's solid. This particular dog especially, is be sure she's solid in her basic commands and that we work well together in a relaxed situation so that when there's a situation that's upsetting to her and to me, we can get through it. And I think that people often think, okay, I'm going to drop my dog off at training and it's going to come back and be this beautiful, wonderfully trained dog. And that's great. It might be. And you as a human are still not trained in how to work with your dog. So that's not, the equation is not balanced if both of you aren't going for training.
Now, how did you notice a difference between like when you were untrained to when you got trained? Like, how was it easier to work with the dog?
Absolutely. I went through training with doggy Trejo. We did a few levels of basic obedience training. He got his canine good citizen, and then he and I went to be the dog and handler for the pit crew, the all pitbull therapy dog group.
The only one in the country.
The only one in the country. And so that was a pretty intensive training. And so again, doggy Trejo was the perfect model of a dog. He was great. So it was a really easy thing for me to learn and to work with him. So when Barker Posey came to us, and she can do basic obedience beautifully in a non-stressed situation, it was the stressed situations where all ability to handle herself went out the door. So us going for training meant that we worked a lot in kind of false stress situations. So it's kind of funny what we did for a lot of the training was because she was reactive to other dogs. We used a fake dog, a big fake stuffed dog, to help train her to not be reactive. And we humans think, well, that's clearly a stuffed dog. How does that work? We didn't know that it was a stuffed dog. And we practiced being far away from that dog and getting her to be comfortable, moving close, walking by it, her being able to go to the bathroom while she was close to it. I mean, all the things that she could normally do with no other dogs. And so that helped me, because as we're walking through and she's getting stressed and wants to attack this fake dog, I'm learning how to manage myself and not allow that huge adrenaline to happen and not get afraid and not be worried. Because if the worst came true and she got away from me and attacked this fake dog, it's a fake dog. And again, being able to work basic obedience with her and knowing that she's going to listen to me and look to me as her leader in situations, I had a lot more comfort to know that even in a stress situation, she already trusts me. She already knows to look to me. And, you know, even if she has a reaction to it, we're going to be able to get through it quickly, and she's going to be able to recover quickly. I'm going to be able to recover quickly, and we can move on with whatever we're doing.
That's really cool. I mean, like, it's really interesting to, you know, because I had a dog at one point, and he was a black lab, and we went through the canine good citizen courses and everything, and I enjoyed that so much. Like, I got so much out of going to these classes, and like it was one of the things that I never thought I was really going to be like super excited about, like going to dog training courses and stuff. But I learned so much from it, and you know, we got our dog certified, but we ended up not doing anything with that. But it was a really awesome learning experience for me to be able to go through that whole process. And then now, as I have a new dog who's almost a year old right now, to be able to apply some of those things that I learned from those classes to, like, you know, when I take him out into public and when he is having that anxiety, you know, okay, we need to adjust how we're bringing him out, and you know, just all that stuff. So you do learn so many great things from those courses, and I mean, you can apply them to, you know, any breed of dog, and that's what's really cool about it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and we've also went through, we took her to group training. She's had private training. So our friend Crystal that trained her privately became my mentor when I started interning as a dog trainer. And I want to do it just so when we have these dogs, just to be able to give them the basic obedience commands, to give them a foundation before we adopt them out. I don't necessarily even want to be a dog trainer as a profession. I mean, even though that would be part of the profession, but just to be able to work with the dog, so as soon as they, you know, they have a foundation learning of commands, trust. Once they leave us, when somebody adopts them out. So that was really great, you know, working privately too with Crystal, with her. And we happen to have Barker Posey she's on the super high end of really reactive. She has like clinical level anxiety, and just all this history of hers that shaped her. When we've got her, she didn't even know how to be a dog. Doggy Trejo had to teach her how to cuddle, how to play, how to just relax. And now she's super sweet. We did a photo shoot this past Monday and went into town right by a dog park up on a hill. There's kids and people on scooters and bikes and cars, and she was amazing. We were just able to sit there and see how far she had come. And, you know, mainly one of the biggest things we did with her, teaching all that, was just love. We just kept loving her and being patient, and not always. You know, sometimes we're like, God damn it! Like, well, she would literally go into like a panic attack where she would just freeze, and her brain and body didn't connect, and she would sit there, and we'd have to pick her up and physically take her. So going out and doing a photo shoot and all that stuff, she was having a blast. Just so much more calm and for her, able to enjoy life versus being, you know, in that place of anxiety all the time, which is where she was living. Anytime we were out and in public and around everything, she was just constantly, you know, living in that place of anxiety and stress. And now she just seems to be a lot more relaxed. She still has a lot of work to do, but watching that and recognizing what part of the training it is, and a lot of it's just working with your dog. Like when you're talking about how fun it was to go to those classes. And I think the funnest thing is just because every time I do a class or work with my dogs, it builds a stronger bond with them, where I trust them more and they trust me more. And I know after going through classes and going up through the Canine Good Citizen classes, like you have to build that bond, or your dog won't be able to go through it.
Yeah, I mean, you guys, you're really responsible dog owners. I mean, and you're very good spokespeople for this. I mean, this is what you guys want to do. So, I mean, that's what's really nice talking to you guys about this is because you guys are really portraying the importance of, learning about the breed, learning the history, learning the backstory of the dog, and then trying to adjust everything to accommodate the dog and get him to where he needs to be socially, I don't even know the right word, but to be able to be
properly.
What was that?
Behaving properly in public.
Yeah, that too. I guess that's the easiest way to say it.
Well, I think that was the point. A lot of Diane's blog that you were talking about was because we want our dogs to all become therapy dogs and be that, and maybe that she's not going to be that. And is that our expectation of her that's what we wanted her to be, but that might not necessarily what she's going to be. It was just kind of learning, like we would almost force her to be sociable, take her with us, even and she hated it. And it was finally our friend Crystal and trainer that was like, she's not enjoying going out and doing that stuff. Like, just leave her here. Because we would want to take out one dog and leave the other one just because, I don't even know. We would.
Yeah.
But then we just would take Vito with us to go out publicly or whatever. And we're still training him also because he's still very young and he was a stray. And leaving her here and being okay with that. Like, she would be having fun, but based on her how she is now and her beingness, she's enjoying her life a lot more than she was. And I still think she has a lot of room to go and grow and enjoy life more. But I mean, she's just laying here passed out, snuggled up with me. When we first got her, she didn't even know how to snuggle with a human. Mm-hmm. Like, she'd never done it. It's awkward. And she's just laying here right now, curled up on the pillow with the phone next to her ear, sleeping.
It's my soothing voice, I think, is helping that.
I think so. It's helping. It is. It's good. It's nice. It's like smooth jazz.
I know. Smooth jazz. The wave. Now, what's the long-term goal for Bully Ranch? Like, where are you guys headed with this?
Well, the whole vision of it is to be a pitbull rescue, and then another branch of it, it'll be an animal sanctuary. So we have recently just, I don't know, can we talk about it? I guess we can. We have joined Lovable, which is Lovable's old, just about to have their 10-year anniversary here, pitbull advocacy group and rescue here in Austin, Texas. And we'd wanted to work with them. We're a part of Lovable, as a matter of fact. That's where we do the classes and do pit crew and all that, but they never had a facility. And so we had asked them when we started if they wanted to partner up. And at first it didn't align well, and then several months later they were down. Everything lined up, and so we're going to partner with them. So the long-term goal is to have the City of Refuge, which would be basically Lovable's City of Refuge. It's an animal sanctuary, a dog rescue, not just pit bulls. Also, then a training center. We still have the pit crew therapy group. So that would be the umbrella for all these different organizations that. And they would all be headquartered at the ranch. So that's the long-term goal, and to have it continue going and build a foundation around it that will keep it going. Have several additional businesses, boarding, a whole training center, and a seminar center, and have like Airbnb and things like that. People come work the ranch. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of different ideas. So we want it to become very self-sustaining. A pit bull rescue and animal sanctuary aren't, they're not even going to pay for themselves. So there definitely has to be other avenues to sustain that. And not just always be in that fundraising kind of space where we're actually holding events and we have services, like training and everything like that, where we can make it, self-sustainable.
Yeah. Now, is there, this is just a dumb question. It's probably not a dumb question. It's just an uneducated question, but is there like government funding programs for things like this?
There are some organizations that can get some nonprofits, I should say, that can get grants from the government for certain things. Some of them include animal rescue, not necessarily animal sanctuary. And then there's some organizations that work with the government to help facilitate some funding. So there are opportunities for that. They are pretty detailed in what's required. Mm-hmm. And so that's one avenue that we could look into and apply for grants and that kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, because I'm sure, it's like they're making you jump through all these hoops and stuff like that. I know with all these grants and stuff like that. So, but I mean, and then you're going to get your, like you said, you're doing different charity events, throughout the year to raise money to bring to it and everything like that. So, I mean, it definitely sounds like a labor of love for you guys to make this happen. Now, is there anyone else involved in this other than you two?
Well, yeah, it's literally like today. We just signed on with Lovable. Like we partnered with them today. Today it became official.
Oh wow! So this is like super breaking news, even though this isn't going to be out for a couple weeks. So
we were going to come out with it in October at our next event. But so yeah, they're board now. So we're now have our board was me and Diane, and now we've merged with their board. So. Yeah, they're all involved as well. They're all in the dog industry. Well, most of them have been with Lovable for a decade, and they're in the dog industry, dog training, and they're dog trainers, and also run facilities. They're pretty good. One of Crystal helps with dog rescues and making them no-kill shelters and. She has a lot of consulting in that and stuff. So we got a pretty solid group of folks that are all very passionate about it. It's not something that you can do if you're not passionate about it. I mean, there's 3 people on the Lovable board, so there's 5 of us total now, and 2 of them have kids, and they also work for businesses, and they're married. They all have a lot of life going on as well, and Lovable is. A huge, or much not huge, but much larger organization than we are. Been around for a long time. They have a rather large, dedicated following on social media, and like 500,000 followers on Facebook, and they've been around for a long time. Do a lot of advocacy work, and they're involved in dog fighting rings are broken up. Members from there will go up with the ASPCA out to work with the dogs that are coming out of the dog fighting rings as they're pulling them out to do assessments and things like that. So it's an organization that we've always loved and respected. And when we were just talking about it the other day, it was funny that when we first moved here, we had said, man, it would be great if we could somehow partner with Lovable to do this pitbull rescue. That's when we first moved here 5 years ago. And 5 years later, we're actually partnering with them doing it. It's pretty fucking cool.
Dreams do come true, Paul.
Yeah, they do. We know that. It was just, it took that kick in the ass of Doggy Trejo, which we were finally like, what are we waiting for?
Yeah, I mean,
look at day I've ever heard of.
Well, and look at that, just how much, just how special that specific dog was in your life to really guide you to all of this,
Yeah, we're going to save a lot of dogs' lives because of him. A lot of dogs' lives. So
now, other than what we've discussed about Bully Ranch, is there anything else you guys want to share about it that that people might want to know or should know?
I mean, you guys just check us out. You mentioned the website bullyranch.org. You can buy. We have T-shirts for sale on there. Pre-order of T-shirts is going to be over on August 30th. So you can go check those out. Some really cool Bully Ranch T-shirts with our logo on it, and check out what we're all about. We have our mission on there, our vision, what we're looking to do with the ranch. If you feel so inclined, you can donate. You can buy shirts. Sign up if you're interested in getting a newsletter every month to keep you updated. We'll also have dogs that are up for adoption. Our website will be a good portal. Follow Instagram. We do some funny videos and sometimes serious and. I'm now making dog memes, and now I just got my pet talking app Friday night, so I've been having fun playing with that. Works on humans too. I did one on with Bat Taylor. It was good.
I like that.
Oh yeah, I know. I'll send it. I'll send it to you via text after we get done with this. It's pretty.
No.
But yeah, that's pretty much. That's how you find out most of the information about us.
All right, so I'll put links to all that stuff in the show notes. I'll put to all your social media and the website and everything. And
Brad.
So it sounds like I'm going to be seeing you in Virginia at the end of next month.
Yeah, I believe we'll both be standing there watching Diane compete in the Whiskerina competition.
I know.
That's what it sounded like to me.
I know. I think she's probably going to have. It's probably going to be some pitbull themed.
That would be smart, but no.
That's hard because pitbull. Oh, you could just do like a bunch of different. You could do. Oh man, here's what you do. It's going to be sad to say it, but you build a beard. You like pick pictures of all our pit bulls that have died, and you cut it out and you put it into a beard. So it's this beard of all the pit bulls that have come.
No. No.
That's more.
I thought maybe you get a good. That's maybe a terrible idea.
That's a big no.
Okay, well.
Thank you though.
Well, keep thinking about it. You know what? I'm definitely going to be like, you're going to be on the top of my list of Whiskerina girls that I'm like looking for. So we're putting the pressure on you now.
I know.
You can do it. I have all the faith in you. I've competed how many times?
Once?
I've only competed once.
No, twice.
What? I competed at every Cassie since we've been here.
That's it.
Except when I emceed it,
Okay.
and I competed in Denver. Jeez, Diane.
Somebody's not paying attention.
Do I even know you? Do we even live together? Where did you think I was when I was in Denver for a week?
Knows?
With Taylor and Wilbur and jeez.
Who knows?
Jeez. All right, guys. Well, I greatly appreciate you taking the time out this evening to talk about this. Like I said, you guys are so passionate about this, and you have such great, like I said, information. You guys are so well informed. You guys are great spokespeople for not only just the bullyranch.org, but for the breed of dog, for the pit bulls. And I'm very glad that I got to talk to you because I learned a lot more about the pit bulls and stuff like that. So I thank you so very much for taking the time out tonight.
Well, you're welcome. I appreciate it. Thanks for having us on and helping us spread the message. We really appreciate it. And thanks for the nice thing you said. I mean, I guess we don't think about it as much like, oh, everybody doesn't know this. But you're absolutely right. Well, I mean, this is a big part of our lives and has been for 15 years.
Yeah, and that's what I was going to say. You guys live it every day. I mean, it's like one of those, it's like having a beard and like, you just know what it's like. And then you get random people that come up to you and they're like, did you just get out of jail or did you kill someone? And it's like, no. It's like we have that same mystique as a pit bull in a weird way. It's like people
it is.
Look at us and think.
Scary.
It is. They look scary, but I mean,
all we want to do is lick you and hug you. So, Diane, next time I see you, I'm going to run up to you and start licking you. Paul, just be prepared.
Okay. Well, you be prepared.
Well, you're going to lick me?
No, I'm saying Diane's much more has the tenacity of the pit bull than I do.
Oh, all right.
I've seen someone lick her before.
Oh, geez. All right, guys. Well, thank you again so very much, and we'll be in touch soon. And when we get together in Virginia, we'll have a beer.
Right on. Sounds good. We'll have several beers, I hope.
Yeah, hopefully.
Cool.
All right. Thank you guys very much, and have a great evening.
You too, Scott. Thank you.
All right. Bye, guys.
Bye.
And cut. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Paul and Diane, for all the information you shared with us about bullyranch.org. And I wish you guys the greatest success with that. Like I said, I learned so much. I think the biggest thing I pulled away from this entire interview about the dog training is you actually, as a pet owner, you need to spend more time training yourself how to deal with the dog than trying to train the dog to deal with you. I mean, that's the biggest pull away for me from this whole entire discussion I had with them. But owning a pet is a really tough thing, and you really have to have the time and the energy to put into wanting to work with your dog as we just had a big incident tonight with our dog who decided he wanted to chew up one of the child's games, and boy, whew. But anyways, I learned that, you know, maybe it's not the dog's fault he was doing that. Maybe I need to make sure that things are picked up. Maybe I need to, you know, make sure that the child's putting away things, and we need to pay more attention to him. That's him showing that he wants attention from us. So, you know, you got to keep your eyes open to what your animals are doing and stuff like that. And they definitely are very in touch with what's going on. So definitely go to bullingranch.org to find out more information about what they're up to. So, well, I guess that's it. So, like I said, go to thebeardcaster.com to get more information about the show and everything. Please subscribe if you can. You can, like I said, find me on all my social media there. Email me. And the last thing and the most important thing that I would like you to do is if you go to thebeardcaster.com/win, you can enter to win a giveaway, which I do every few weeks. And all you're doing is subscribing to my mailing list, so you'll get the newest episode delivered right to your email every week. But you're also entered to win some really cool stuff. So I do suggest that you go to thebeardcaster.com/win to enter. So, okay, we'll just leave it at that. Thank you all so very much for checking this episode out. I greatly appreciate it. Thank you, Paul and Diane, so much. I can't wait to see you guys. And I can't wait to see everyone down in Richmond, Virginia coming up here. We got some really cool stuff planned. So many cool things are falling into line for this. So, we're going to have some cool stuff going on here in the next couple months. So, make sure you're subscribed so you can keep up with what's going on. So, thank you, everyone, and I'll talk to you soon. Ciao.